Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, the whole debate over private versus public markets is just exploding again, all thanks to Netflix's unbelievable 100x recovery. We're also tracking India's very aggressive geopolitical moves in Africa. Prime Minister Modi is making a huge play for Global South leadership. But the real story, the one that's just flashing red across the job market, is AI. A company just raised $16 million to basically put human ad editors out of business. And it signals AI will probably dominate ad production within a year. You really need to know what this means for your workflow. Okay, so let's start with the money. The biggest macro discussion today really feels centered on this fundamental tension. When should a company finally subject itself to the punishing pressure of the public markets?
It's a huge question, especially now in this era of just perpetual private funding. The investor at Patrick O'Shag, he sparked this whole viral debate by clipping Henry Ellenbogen's argument. And the argument is that public markets aren't just for capital. They instill, and this is the key phrase, essential discipline.
That phrase, essential discipline, that really jumped out. And the core example he uses is Netflix, right?
Precisely. You have to think back to 2011. Netflix was already public, and they made that necessary, but just brutal pivot.
The Quickster disaster.
The Quickster disaster, the move from DVD shipping to streaming, and that move immediately, it halved their stock price. A catastrophe.
A catastrophe.
But because they were public, that immediate harsh feedback forced them to commit. They had to go all in on the streaming model. And that difficult decision made under all that duress is what ultimately led to their, 100x plus recovery.
So the narrative is pretty clear then. If you stay private too long, you get lazy, you get risk-averse, and you get left behind.
Well, that's the consensus narrative, but we have to question it.
And UPS is the counter-narrative to that.
Exactly. The replies to O'Shag's post, they were quick to bring up UPS. They operated as a private company for 90 years before their IPO. They weren't undisciplined. They just replaced quarterly market validation with their own internal structures.
Right. They gave employees liquidity through dividends, not volatile stock options.
For nearly a century, shielded from the, as you said, the tyranny of quarterly reports.
So what's the real insight here for our listeners, whether they're running a startup or just managing a portfolio?
The real insight is recognizing the cost of that short cycle performance. For companies not backed by VCs, firms focused on stability, long-term value internal discipline can create much better long-term outcomes.
So the public market pressure, it can be a discipline, but it can also be a really destructive distraction.
It can absolutely be a distraction. Knowing which path to choose is what's going to define the next generation of mega companies.
Speaking of structures that have to adapt quickly, let's shift from financial markets to the global chessboard. Specifically, India's really aggressive move into Africa. Prime Minister Narendra Modi just posted highlights of his visit to Ethiopia.
And what's fascinating here is just how quickly India is formalizing these ambitions. This wasn't just maintaining ties.
No, this was an immediate upgrade.
An immediate elevation to a strategic partnership. And we're talking about concrete, actionable agreements here. Modi used for trade, doubled scholarships, even AI training programs.
This is structured, it's targeted, it is highly aggressive outreach into Africa. This is not standard diplomacy.
No, it's a clear statement about leading the global south. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, the optics here are just critical. Modi received Ethiopia's highest civilian honor, the Nishan of Ethiopia.
Which is his 28th international award in 2025 alone.
28th. That number is staggering. It signals this massive coordinated campaign to position India as the key partner for developing nations.
Directly challenging China and the West.
Absolutely. And the personal touch you mentioned in the post is maybe the most telling signal of all.
The Ethiopian PM, Abiy Ahmed, he personally drove Modi to the airport.
In diplomacy, that kind of deep personal connection, it just signals far more trust and alignment than any signed trade agreement ever could. It's a signal to the entire world that their strategy isn't just transactional. It's built on personal commitment. And that changes the calculus for everyone else.
Okay, now let's talk about an economic structure that is currently being dissolved by AI. We have to address the vibe shift happening in the creative economy. It's an apocalypse for human editors.
Yeah, the biggest story in deep tech this week comes from a thread by @RomAntars announcing Arcads 2.0. They just raised $16 million after bootstrapping to a really remarkable $13 million in annual recurring revenue.
In just 18 months. That ARR number alone is a huge validation signal.
It is, and their claim is chillingly clear. They are the AI ad maker that outperforms humans.
And what ARCads can do, just based on the description, it completely redesigns the whole ad production pipeline.
It does. It can generate high-quality video ads in minutes for about $10. Think about the capabilities here.
Instant creator swaps, localization.
Language localization, granular emotional control over the AI actors. It just eliminates all the human touch points. Sourcing, editing, QA, all the stuff that used to take agencies days or weeks.
And the terrifying implication, the second-order effect,
Right.
was immediately flagged by Ejaka Brudry. He showed a workflow that takes their technology and automates over 100 days of TikTok content?
Using over 1,000 AI-generated actors.
And the batch creation takes 30 seconds?
30 seconds. To replace the entire output of a junior editing team for 3 months, it just raises this huge question for agencies. Is this genuine, sustainable efficiency, where creators can test thousands of variants for cheap? Or is this just a rapid, devastating race to the bottom?
Both in quality and in pricing.
Exactly.
The prediction attached to this is just stark. And we'll come back to it later, but AI is set to dominate basic ad production within a year, which means thousands of human creators and editors, the ones who rely on that high-volume, low-complexity work, they are facing an immediate and acute threat.
But AI isn't only a job destroyer. It is proving its value where the stakes are incredibly high. We got some crucial deep tech validation this week from at Recursion Pharma.
This is the flip side of the coin. They announced the first clinical validation of their AI-enabled drug discovery platform. Give us the details on what they actually did here.
Correct. We're talking about positive phase 1b2 data for their AI-identified drug, REC-4881. And this drug is for familial adenomatous polyposis, or FAP. It's a difficult inherited condition.
Right. It's characterized by thousands of polyps in the colon. Often it requires major surgery.
It's highly complex, often rare, but it has known genetic markers. It makes it a perfect, very difficult target for AI-driven discovery.
And that shifts AI from being a hype cycle conversation about ads and images to something that delivers tangible clinical results. That's a huge milestone.
And speaking of hype versus reality, that brings us right back to the constraints on AGI. At OpenAI, I posted about their computational needs. Their new image model, GPT Image 1.5, boosted weekly active users by 32%. Huge adoption.
Huge adoption. And yet, they clearly state they need a lot more compute.
That compute constraint is the bottleneck right now. You just can't accelerate without more raw power.
Right.
And this connects directly to that whole AGI definition debate that at Y Combinator was promoting. They highlighted the ARC AGI benchmark. And this is where we need to be really clear for the listener. Current models, they score over 90% on something like MMLU, which is basically a high-stakes memorization test.
Right, just retrieving facts.
Exactly. But RCAGI, it focuses on genuine reasoning, generalization, and human-like adaptability to problems it's never seen before.
So what are the scores on that benchmark for the top models right now, like O1?
They're only scoring between 20 and 30%.
Wow.
That massive gap just shows that scaling compute alone, what OpenAI is doing, isn't solving the core intelligence problem. It's not solving generalization.
And the ARC prize, which is over $1 million, is designed to expose this false progress, right?
Yeah.
To call out the brute force scaling.
Yes, it's urging labs like xAI and Anthropic to focus on adaptability, which raises the important question we should all be asking. Are we scaling efficiently toward real intelligence? Or are we just scaling vanity metrics?
Okay, let's pivot to the bleeding edge of consumer hardware and design value. Tech reviewer at MKBHD, Mark Brownlee, just dropped his big review on the Samsung Galaxy Z Trifold.
Ah, the $3,000 device. This is all about establishing a new high-end price point and a new form factor.
It's certainly premium. It unfolds to this massive 10-inch display, and it's got a record-thin 3.9mm profile. MKBHD praised it for widescreen video playback, which is a key differentiator. But what is Samsung really trying to solve for the user here?
And that's the core skepticism. You see it all over the comments. Is this solving a real user need that a phone and a tablet don't already cover?
Right.
Or are they just pushing an expensive novelty to recapture that sense of innovation that smartphones have kind of lost?
Plus the durability concerns that just haunt all these folding models.
Exactly. The question for you, the listener, is whether this $3,000 device finally proves trifolds are the future, or if they're just going to stay a niche enthusiast product.
That brings us to another fascinating point about value in the digital space. If AI is automating the low end, what commands the high end? Designer at Marcel Cargoul posted a custom landing page he made for sideshift.app. The price was a stunning $20,000.
20,000. I mean, that's 10 to 40 times higher than a typical freelance rate for a landing page. What possibly justifies that?
Well, the details suggest why. It's this incredibly clean, minimalist design with super smooth animations, custom illustrations, bespoke elements. It just looks organic, proprietary, and highly polished.
And this is a perfect illustration of the digital economy splitting in two. It's a huge opportunity for human creators who can adapt. While ArcAds is automating the $10 ad, top-tier human design, the stuff that includes full branding, custom UX, it still commands massive value.
It proves that the craft of design, that bespoke solution, is still a premium commodity AI can't replicate, for now. Before we get to our final concepts, we saw two quick engineering notes that stood out. In PropTech, at Berkeley announced Archway, a real-time 3D engine for home design. It simulates physics and lighting so buyers can interactively customize floor plans.
That's a really smart application. It's aimed at reducing sales cycles for home builders by letting buyers literally walk through their custom home before it's built.
And in space engineering, at Booster 10 debunked a persistent myth we hear all the time. The myth is that Starlink is essential for quality rocket telemetry and onboard video. He pointed out that ground stations work just as well for rockets like Falcon 9 and Ariane 6.
Yeah, just a nice practical reminder that sometimes the established, specialized tech holds up better than the newer, flashier solution. The best tool is the one built for the job.
Finally, let's wrap up with a mix of culture and some deep concepts. Indie developer at Hilkeche posted a fantastic piece of satirical marketing. It's for his game, Car Park Capital.
That trailer is brilliant. It's a satirical parking lot sim that looks like a retro 90s game, and it's a direct critique of urban car dependency.
He explicitly cited a Kotaku report saying that Game Awards trailers now cost upwards of $1 million. So he positioned his free, high-engagement video on X as the indie alternative. And it worked. It got huge views while critiquing the massive marketing budgets of the AAA world.
And we can't end a deep dive without really challenging your intellect. At Mathlerium brought up Gersonov's theorem. It's a powerful piece of 1960 Soviet probability theory.
This one is truly mind-bending because it sounds so philosophical, but it's pure math. The theorem essentially lets you steer randomness. It reweights plausible random paths to mimic a drift or a trend without actually modifying the underlying noise.
I mean, if you think about it practically, it's the tool used to model future market paths. Imagine a river flowing. Gersonov's theorem lets a mathematician model what the river's path would look like if the current were stronger in one direction without changing the water itself.
And this is foundational to risk-neutral pricing in finance and for simulating rare events, like a market crash.
And what's fascinating is how the replies link this rigorous math to philosophical concepts like focused intention shaping reality. It's like a great moment of intellectual cross-pollination.
So to summarize the vibes today, market discipline matters, but internal governance, like we saw at UPS, offers a compelling alternative to quarterly pressure. India is dramatically expanding its influence across the global south with a huge focus on Africa, and AI, driven by ArcAd's explosive 13 million ARR, is about to fundamentally remake the entire advertising industry.
And based on that rapid growth and their fresh 16 million in funding, my prediction for tomorrow is this. Expect a massive immediate contraction in the pricing and demand for basic human-edited short-form video content by Q1 2026. This efficiency gain will create a major layoff wave in digital ad agencies that rely on volume editing. Their margins will just evaporate instantly.
A tough, but I think a necessary prediction for anyone in that creative space. We'll leave you with this provocative thought for the road, building on our AI discussion. Consider whether the brute force scaling prioritized by firms like OpenAI that need more compute, or the intellectual push for true generalization measured by the ARC-AGI benchmark will ultimately deliver true artificial intelligence first. Which method will win the race?
Something to mull over.
Until next time.